They say a man's home is his castle, right? Well, mine never had turrets or a drawbridge, but it sure had a pulse. An old iron wheel, a dam laid down with more sweat than cement, a valley so tucked away you could almost miss it, and a lake that's been my family's heartbeat for as long as I can remember. They saw a blue blob on a brochure, but I saw 3 generations of stubborn hands who knew when the dam was happy just by listening to the water move at dawn. And let me tell you, when folks with city smiles and developer money tried to turn our lake into their amenity, that's when I learned the difference between owning a place and belonging to it. My name's Alex Thorne. If you've ever felt a place so deep you can smell rain in the wind before it even hits, you'll get where I'm coming from. Thorn Valley's not much, just old oaks, thick cattails, and this rock-and-earth dam my great-granddad, Elijah, built back in the 20s. He didn't just pour concrete. He shaped the ground like he was making peace with it, marked the high water line with a stroke of his pencil that got stamped and recorded and passed down like a family recipe. That line, my grandfather drilled it into my dad, and my dad into me, meant the water and the land under it was ours, up to that red mark. Everything we did, raising the lake in summer for the kids, drawing it down in winter for snowmelt, was for that patchwork of dirt and water we called home. Most days, life was quiet. Then one morning I'm out with my coffee and binoculars, and I spot these guys in orange vests, poking around the wild brush on the east edge, land we'd always let run a little messy. Residential project, they say, then vanish like I'm a hornet's nest. 2 weeks later, there's a glossy flyer on the gas station board. Apex Developers presents Serenity Shores. All shiny renderings, perfect lawns, kids with kayaks. Heck, they even drew a dock right onto our shoreline, like my family never happened. Then comes a letter, not a question, a declaration, stamped with a city law firm's gold seal. Apex, soon to be the Serenity Shores HOA, intends full and reasonable use of the lake for its residents. They need unfettered access for boats, docks, maintenance, all that, and, get this, I could be liable if I unreasonably restrict them. Yeah, that happened. I took the letter straight to my lawyer, Alistair Finch, a guy who's been fighting paperwork since before I had a beard. He just gives me this sly smile and says, they have no idea what they just started. We sent back a stack of deeds, permits, and photos thicker than a phone book, every document that proved, as loud as a Sunday bell, the lake and the land under it were private, ours, no debate. They didn't even blink. Victoria Sterling, she called herself president of a place that didn't exist yet, signed for the certified letter. Next thing I know, bulldozers roll up just close enough to shake the glass in my grandfather's study. They stripped the green buffer, framed 30 houses in weeks, and the windows, man, they pointed right at my lake, like someone just claimed the best seat in the house without asking. Workers started wandering down on their breaks, wrappers drifted into the reeds, and a billboard went up, your lakeside dream. Even photoshopped a dock onto our land for good measure. Thing is, Apex built their dream homes right up to the high water line Elijah, set nearly a century ago, sometimes right over it. Either they couldn't read a map or figured the law was just a suggestion. One rainy spring, those patios would be underwater and their buyers none the wiser. The first showdown came on a Saturday, gray sky, wind that smelled like trouble. Victoria rolled up in a golf cart with 2 guys who looked like they wrestled refrigerators for fun. Clipboard in hand, coral blazer, sunglasses, she says, Mr. Thorne, we need to discuss the community canoe rack. I looked at her shoes, leaving muddy prints on my side of the line, and just said, there is no community here, just private property, and that ramp's carried 3 generations of Thorne canoes. Nobody else. She huffed off, but I could tell this was just round 1. Then it got weird. I found fresh scratches on the guard plate for my secondary spillway, tool marks. Not an accident. That's trespassing, and more than that, it's messing with the heart of how I control the lake. Finch fired off complaints, CC'd every official he could think of. Apex answered with PR spin, online rumors about the eccentric guy on the hill, and even tried to get my dam condemned. We shot that down with photos and inspections. Still, the smear campaign had neighbors whispering. The twist? Out of nowhere, I get an anonymous email. I have something you need to see. At a diner off Route 9, a nervous kid named Daniel, junior surveyor, hands shaking, slides me a report. It's the original engineering survey. He whispers, we flagged the risk. We told them, move the houses or they'll flood. The official version Apex filed had been doctored, recommendations cut, setbacks ignored. Daniel kept his copy because, in his words, my dad taught me to sleep at night. I promised not to burn him, but now I had the smoking gun. Next, I called Sam Coleman, a retired water engineer, old friend of my dad's. He ran his hand over the pump house like he was reading Braille, checked the gates, made notes. She'll take it, he said. Just do it slow, steady, by the book. I thought about the Millers, young couple, baby, bought one of the lowest houses. I sent them an anonymous warning. Check elevations, hire an independent engineer, don't trust the developer. Victoria herself showed up the next day, smiling and offering upgrades. They closed on the house a week later. I picked a rainy Tuesday, brought coffee and an old book, but I wasn't there to read. At 9 a.m., I opened the pump house, put my hands on that iron wheel, and did exactly what Elijah taught. Quarter turns, slow, listen for the spillway's song. The water rose inch by inch, quiet, patient. By noon, it licked past rust stains I'd known since I was a kid. Construction bosses started pointing, golf carts rolled up, and then Victoria, hair perfect, phone blazing, came charging through my gate. You're flooding us, she yelled. This is insane. You'll ruin families. I just said, I'm operating my dam on my land, within every right we've shown you. Your houses are inside the flood easement. Her lawyer blustered about injunctions. I invited them to bring it. She almost grabbed the wheel. I stared her down, and she thought better of it. Around 5 p.m. the sheriff showed up. Young guy, nervous. I walked him through every deed, water right, survey, even Sam's notes. He thumbed through the papers, looked at the swelling lake, and just said, this is civil. We don't do civil. Tipped his hat and left. By nightfall, the water had reached the line, just like Elijah drew. A dozen houses had water sneaking under doors, the lakeside billboard's letters floating in a brown mirror. It wasn't a flood. It was the truth, slow and unstoppable. Next morning, Apex's lawyers dragged me into court, pleading for an emergency order. They called me reckless, the dam dangerous, the whole valley at risk. Finch, steady, never loud, walked the judge through every paper, every survey, Daniel's affidavit, Sam's testimony. The judge just said, request denied. Apex built below the high water line. Not my fault. Then it all unraveled. Angry buyers formed a class action, insurance sniffed fraud, contractors stopped showing up, Victoria vanished, and Apex went belly up. Serenity Shores became a ghost town, the dream, moldy and abandoned. The county asked me to drain the lake, just enough to let demo crews work. My terms were simple. Lowest lots stay swamped forever. Creditors pay for every nail pulled, and the shoreline gets restored by folks who know a cattail from a traffic cone. They signed, because what choice did they have? It took a season. When the last house came down, the birds came back, the reeds rustled, and the lake let out a sigh. Or maybe that was me. People say I flooded the rich. That's catchy but wrong. All I did was return the water to where it always belonged, where the law, and my grandfather's pencil, said it should be. Do I wish the Millers hadn't been sold a lie? Absolutely. But responsibility's a three-legged stool: seller, buyer, system. Apex kicked out all three, then tried to borrow mine. Now, the lake's quiet, the pump house mossy, and the valley's ours again. Sometimes, in the soft light, I still thank Elijah out loud, like a fool. Maybe that's what belonging really is. Funny thing, word travels in small towns. Now developers tell the Thorn Lake story at cocktail parties, right before someone says, let's check the elevation this time. But I'll tell you, just last week I found a postcard on my windshield. Harbor Vista, nature meets luxury, cartoon paddleboards, dotted lines snaking along a river downstream. Guess some folks never learn. Maybe spreadsheets will always outvote common sense, for a while. But I know this. If someone tries to redraw my family's line, I still remember the sound the wheel makes when iron and history agree. So let me ask you, if it was your family's lake and your rights got trampled for someone else's brochure, would you have backed down? Or would you have stood your ground, hands on the wheel, and let the law and the water speak for you? Who do you think was right? Who's really responsible? And what's fair for folks caught in the middle when money talks louder than maps? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear how you'd handle it. And if you know someone dreaming of lakeside living, send them this. Remind them, before you fall for the view, make sure you know who draws the lines.